Roshan the Science Guy. Roshan the Science Guy. Bio rules.
Look at this plant right here. It's a beautiful, healthy plant. Why? Because it got a lot of macronutrients. Macronutrients are essential nutrients that plant needs in order to function properly. Typically, a milligram or gram of dry weight. And without it, it can't function properly. We got, most common is nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus. A lack of macronutrients inhibits a plant's growth. On a large scale, these deficiencies lead to evolutionary adaptations, which allow the effective uptake of macronutrients, thus securing the plant's health. Nitrogen is often a limiting factor in plant growth. It's required for the production of organic molecules such as proteins and nucleic acids. However, most plants cannot directly fix nitrogen themselves. Therefore, they rely on the nitrogen cycle, which converts nitrogen to usable form. And some carnivorous plants directly consume prey, such as insects, to obtain nitrogen. Carnivorous plants are able to directly fix nitrogen themselves. However, plants that are not able to do so typically have a symbiotic relationship with either fungi or bacteria. Bacteria converts atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogenous minerals that the plant can absorb. On the other hand, fungi breaks down materials in the soil and gives these nutrients to the plant. And in doing so, the fungi increases the surface area of the roots, and in doing so also increases the mineral uptake of the plants. Plants play a major role in the nitrogen cycle along with fungi and bacteria. The bacteria converts the atmospheric nitrogen into a usable form as ammonia. The ammonia is then taken up by the plant. After the plant has used the nitrogen in the ammonia, it is then excreted as nitrate or nitrite. Bacteria in the soil denitrate the nitrate and nitrite back into N2, which is then sent back into the atmosphere. In the next segment, we'll be discussing the research paper. The research paper studies plants that are carnivorous. Carnivory is a method plants use to obtain nitrogen from the environment by getting it directly from the prey. The research paper also states that nitrogen is a major limiting nutrient for carnivorous plants. Here's Dr. Saylers to explain to her famous research paper for the origins and mysteries of carnivorous plants.
Hey guys, I'm Dr. Saylers. A real-life example of a plant acquiring nitrogen is the cephalotus plant, a carnivorous plant, a pitcher plant. The cephalotus traps organisms and other insects in its pitcher to gain the proper nutrients it needs. There's a toxic liquid that breaks down organisms that allows the pitcher plant to have the nitrogen necessary. The purpose of this experiment was to see what caused the cephalotus to be carnivorous. We looked at genes expressed in the pitcher leaves and the flat leaves and saw which genes were turned on and off in both leaves. We also looked at the enzymatic fluid and found that it had changed function because of the change in environment. We believe that the enzyme's function initially was to help the plant adapt to the change in climate. We not only saw a change in enzyme function, but we also saw a change in the plant overall. The plant now has new adaptations such as creation of nectar, coloration, and creation of scent to help attract prey. Not only does this show examples of change in adaptations to the change in environment, but it also shows and is a direct example of coevolution as other organisms directly have affected the plant. We also looked at different organisms with the same enzymatic fluid and found that they had closer relationships because of their carnivorous leaves rather than their normal leaves. Even though these different organisms had different ancestors, they had closer phylogeny because of the way they acquired nitrogen. Throughout the experiment, we found pitcher plants to have many interesting characteristics. Figure 1 shows that the environment definitely affects the expression of the pitcher plants. Pitcher leaves are more susceptible to grow in lower temperatures, whereas normal leaves, or flat leaves, grow in higher temperatures. This shows that the plant adapts to its environment by turning certain genes on and off. Figure 2 shows that there have been certain plants that have adapted similar carnivorous characteristics, such as the enzymatic fluid. These plants, interestingly, come from completely different ancestors and happen to be on different sides of the world. This figure further illustrates that carnivorous plants are able to adapt to their environment through the process of coevolution. Overall, this experiment allowed us to conclude that coevolution does occur in plants, specifically carnivorous plants that adapt to their environment and other organisms. We also found that the phylogeny of the organisms completely changed as the carnivorous plants obtained more similar characteristics with distinct plants. Through this experiment, we are able to learn that carnivorous plants are a great example of plant adaptations to the environment and coevolution.
You'd be like, whoa, why should I care about carnivorous plants? Well, you should. Research shows that it's linked to many topics in biology, such as plant growth and reproduction, showing that it's a major linkage and that slight change in gene expression can result in completely different plants. plant responses to environment, and showing that over time it can lead to adaptations and changes in gene expression to allow for the optimal efficiency of the plant. Last but not least, phylogenetic trees, as can be seen by Dr. Saylers' figure, were a major part in this research, determining the genes and specific adaptations to carnivorous plants and how and when they occurred compared to other plants. Yet there's much research left to be uncovered, especially with current human activities altering the nitrogen concentration. Analysis of the evolution of carnivorous plants and nitrogen deficiencies can serve as a basis for future studies involving human alteration of plants today. Well, that's our show. Thanks for watching.